Hey, welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're here with another episode of the Power of Nine podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Eggert. Today's guest is a former pro basketball player that has taken his mild obsession with the sport to develop a sports development company that believes in the power of combining education and sports to empower young people. Let's dive in and share the story of my friend, Tim Williams. Tim, welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks a lot for having me. Thanks a lot for having me.
And you're coming to us straight from the man cave.
Yeah, straight from the man cave, where I'm a big Rams fan and Michael Jordan fan.
I see that. Those that are watching on YouTube will see over your left shoulder the Jordan jersey. That's a sweet jersey, dude.
Yeah, so the jersey and then all 6 rings on the other side.
Oh, yeah, that is. I can't see that super good, but that is sick. I love that. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So let's dig in a little bit. You know, you got a lot of stuff going on, and anybody that follows you on LinkedIn has seen some really cool things. We're going to get to all that stuff, but I think kind of get a feel for you and kind of what has made you today is going to be really important, and just diving into learning about that journey and stuff like that. So one of the things that I regurgitate the same question, but paint me a picture of what it was like to be little Tim Williams.
And little Tim Williams was running around, getting into any and everything he possibly could. Early years, probably the first 10 years of my life, I didn't play sports. I was just a kid that played. I went and found things to do, run neighborhood games. I grew up in St. Louis. And so it was one of these small neighborhoods. Everything was really neighborhood centric, you know, running in and out of everyone's house, just being a kid.
And we're both products. We're both about the same age, aren't we? We're both in our upper 40s.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're both products of the 80s, right?
Yeah,
the 80s where you just kicked out the door and you came back for supper.
Yeah, that was it. Come back in for supper. It was like 2 meals, a breakfast and a dinner, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Lunch took too much time away from whatever was happening outside, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't until moving in Minnesota, my mom, my 2 sisters, where at around the age of 12, 13, I started getting curious about sports. Yeah. And I only tried 2 sports. I tried baseball and basketball. And so baseball sucked because I couldn't hit a ball, and I was done with that.
So I think you still got to have pretty damn good hand-eye coordination for basketball, but I mean, baseball is just a little bit different. The speed moves. Was it a hand-eye coordination thing, or was it just the way that your brain processes the 2 sports separately?
Yeah, I think that, for me, it was a challenge. It was challenging. The speed of the game was challenging. My mom was like a softball player. All the way for years. So I remember just riding my bike at her softball games and watching her play. And so I wanted to kind of do that, to be more like her in that way. But quickly grew taller than a lot of other kids. So my strike zone was really different.
Oh, yeah.
And you're a pretty tall dude. It was challenging for me at my height, and then still trying to figure out my body at the time.
Right. That's that. And, you're in some formidable years of growth. Right. And I don't doubt that you probably went through, for being as tall as you are now, you probably had to go through some pretty significant growth spurts.
Yeah, I think I did. Mostly through my high school years. Grew 1 inch in college, but mostly through my high school years.
Do you think that, so growing up in St. Louis and then moving to Minneapolis, there was an inflection point there, obviously, but then also you had more exposure to sports. Was it an exposure to sports, and it just wasn't in your face in St. Louis, so it just wasn't just part of the culture, or was it just? What do you think that was?
I think it was. I think it was an exposure where maybe I may have played a shot basketball in someone's driveway. Right. I didn't venture off to parks and do a lot of those type of things other than playgrounds.
Yeah.
Right. I visited playgrounds, not necessarily fields and hoops and stuff like that. And I think it was accessibility for me. Growing up with mom and single parents, like the real organized youth sports weren't really an option due to financial restraints. And so even with basketball, right, I didn't play on my first team until close to about middle school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was my first team I played on. Prior to that, I didn't play on any teams. And so it was fun. I mean, it was mostly, I lived in an apartment across the street from a park. Mm-hmm. And so I had a basketball and there was a hoop.
Yeah.
It was the easy accessibility there ever was, right? Like just go to the basketball hoop and shoot hoops and have fun. But on the flip side of that, I also very much enjoyed like the other aspect of watching Michael Jordan and watching basketball and then going out and emulating those things. Was how my love for the game grew, and I kind of fell into it.
Growing up in a family with a single mom, and I think you said you have two sisters. And where do you fall in
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
The youngest and only boy. Yep.
So, growing up in there's a lot of estrogen in that family then, right off the bat, right? And so so in and I think I'm going to ask some of this stuff a little bit later, but also like who are some of your role models or father figures or things like that outside of sports? And outside of professional sports, like, you're referencing Michael Jordan and stuff like that. I think those people are role models, but like who in your personal life played a role from a father figure / role model standpoint?
Honestly, just my coaches.
Really?
Those were the first real, my brother, my now brother-in-law came into my life probably about 13, 14. Mm-hmm. So he was always around and encouraged me to do a lot of different things and taught me some things about basketball, about the sports, and just, how to be tougher. Gave me my first piece of basketball advice, right? You need to go to the park and play with people who are older than you.
Yeah.
Right. And that was a big thing for me. Right. Like, it was something I really took to heart and really went to. And the rest of my like mentors and role models are people that came from coaching, from who coached me. Yeah. They became very intricate people in my life and growth as a young man.
And does that still kind of fuel you for the work that you do now, of like looking back on that as like you want to be, or you want to be able to provide young people that same opportunity?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what it is, right? Like there's an opportunity here where there's a lot of opportunity, responsibility, and power, and building relationships and filling gaps where you actually don't even understand or know you're filling a gap. Yeah. For some kids. Yeah. Right. Being able to be that experience was valuable. Yeah. But like most of the things I've always said, like most of the things about who I am, what I've accomplished, some of my best traits and best qualities come from experiences that I learned through a game that was coached to me. Yeah. Yeah. Whether it's collaboration and communication, whether it's how to deal with adversity, just how to persevere, just all of these things that, I use day to day. Mm-hmm. All come from a game that I fell in love with when I was And 13. Sports has that effect, right? Like, I just think there's so many life lessons that can come out of sports, and some young people. You end up living that truth for a while. Right. I mean, that's just been even that's the kind of the story of your life, right? I mean, it just is. It's guided you. When did you? So, at what point in your, you started playing organized, let's call it quote unquote organized basketball sports, middle school? You said, when did the switch flip where you're like, damn, I'm good. Like, I can hang. Oh my gosh. I'm getting good here. I need to start taking this shit serious. I really tried to trust the process. There was a lot of humbling moments, right? Going through, like, I didn't officially like break through and understand it all until probably I was a sophomore in high school. Oh, really? Yeah. So I was treading water, just kind of waiting for my acclimate to catch up to my body, to really fill in all the gaps, right? The maturity aspect, the physical aspect, the cerebral content aspect of the game. And understanding when those times came, I was able to kind of put all those things together. Didn't actually start to materialize until I was a sophomore in high school. And then when you were in high school, I'm guessing that, you progressively were getting better and better. You were pouring into probably the work, and you were putting the practice in, and you were doing all the things you need to do, all the while probably being coached and guided through by your coaches. If you look at that composition of, sophomore, junior, senior year of high school, what was one memory that you have from that time that you look back on really fondly? My senior year. Like coming full circle and having the opportunity to be a first-year college student because of the work that I put in. Mm-hmm. Right, being the youngest one in my family, I was a first-year generation college student for my family. Right, my mother didn't go to college. My sisters at that point had not gone to college. And so right out of high school, I was able to go to a very small community college in Devils Lake, North Dakota, and really leave my element in a way to go to some place that was like crazy. But the opportunity to have earned that opportunity, from putting myself in a position to say some of the work paid off.
Yeah.
At a point where now I get to open more doors for me for my life and have the opportunity to do something different.
Where in North Dakota did you play?
Lake Region State College.
Where's that?
It's in a city called Devils Lake, North Dakota.
Oh yeah. I know where Devil's Lake is.
Yeah.
I've been up there fishing one time.
What are you doing at Devil's Lake?
Fishing.
Devil's Lake?
Fishing. Now I gotta flat out just ask you, like, there's gotta be some major cultural differences that you experienced going from St. Louis to Minneapolis to then Devil's Lake, North Dakota.
Yeah.
And how was that?
When I say like major, it's an understatement.
I can't imagine.
Right. Like they had a Walmart and a few other things. Gas station, Pizza Hut, Subway, and basketball.
Basketball.
It was very cold.
Windy.
It was cold, yeah, windy, no skyscrapers, shielding anything. It was just rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But basketball was like my saving grace. The court was open 24 hours a day. Fortunately, the building was structured to a point where I could wake up and just put shorts and flip-flops on and walk to class because we had ground level skyway breezeway situations where I didn't have to go outside to go to class.
Yeah.
So that was a huge benefit and a huge thing for me. A major reason why I really, really had a lot of fun being there and going through it.
How long did you play there?
2 years.
And then was it time to transition?
And then,
go to
2 years,
larger
time to transition somewhere, Moorhead State University, or the University of Minnesota Moorhead now.
Yeah.
So then I went, I wanted to go a little closer to home.
Mm-hmm.
My sophomore year, my freshman year was still mediocre coming out of my sophomore year. Coming out of my freshman year, senior year of high school was a college adjustment. I wasn't a good student.
Mm.
And so after about 8 games into my freshman year, I became academically ineligible.
Ooh.
And so now I'm in this situation where I'm in Devils Lake, North Dakota, and I'm not playing basketball. And I remember calling my mother and telling her I was ready to go home and come home. And so a little bit of backstory, my mother actually stopped going to school in 8th grade.
Mm. Wow.
But, managed to work 20 years in Minneapolis public school, raise 3 kids, own her own house, do all these different things.
Yeah.
And so quitting wasn't an option.
Right.
From an education perspective. She said, well, you can't come home. You need to stay there. So for the next, 4 to 6 months, I'm just a student.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned through that process is what I was lacking, right? I went to college, but I didn't know how to study.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. In high school, you take tests. It's like, they educate you for the test.
Yeah.
Where college is a little bit different. You have to know how to study. And so I had to figure that part out.
Did you have to figure that out on your own, or did you have any tutors?
I had tutors. Yeah, I had people there people that really, really good people at the school helped me navigate that part, right? My coach connected me with the right people. And so coming out of that, all I had was a gym that was open 24 hours a day and studying.
Yeah.
So from a basketball development standpoint, I developed a really fast curve coming out of that.
Yeah.
So going into my sophomore year, being a junior college All-American, having great stats, doing all the complete blow up, right? That was when things changed for me. But due to the academic fallout from freshman year, I was only eligible to go play Division II, which is how I ended up at Moorhead State.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to get closer to home. Now I'm 3 hours away. And so I get back to Moorhead State. And now I go there and continue the journey.
Yeah.
Which was fun. It was amazing being at Moorhead. I really enjoyed it.
You did. And is that a basketball school? Like, are they?
No, but they were decent. We were good.
Yeah.
Right. We were good. And it was most importantly, it was a good college experience, right? Like it was like Moorhead's an amazing college town. I don't know if a whole lot of people understand that, right? Like the fact that we have what you call as a tri-college network. Are you familiar?
I'm not, but explain it.
So tri-college networks means I go to Moorhead State University, right? 10 minutes drive, I could be at North Dakota State University.
Mm-hmm.
In another 10 minutes, I could be at Concordia College.
That's right.
And so this tri-college network means I can if I'm going for fitness and exercise science, if I can't get a kinesiology class at Moorhead State, I can actually take that same class at North Dakota State.
Cool.
So it allows you to just keep going versus, I got to stay another semester because I got to get that class. I just go take that college.
I don't think that's widely known. I think that's
yes,
like I've never heard that term. I never even knew that was a thing. I think I always felt like there was a little bit of, the state boundaries kind of created a mythical line right between those. But that's fascinating. And so does that still ring true today?
I'm not sure if it does, but I know when I was there, it was an absolute cheat code.
Yeah. That's a cheat code.
You can get 4 years is 4 years. Like there's no, I got to do this. If I want to take that class over there in the summer, all the things just take care of in that way.
So your let's call it trip up, right? So your trip up educationally or academically at community college, did that was that with the proverbial kick in the head that you needed to just change your study habits to help you focus on both the balance between education and basketball?
It was in that moment. In that moment, it absolutely was. It was just a learning curve, right? Like there's a great appreciation for things.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, once they're taken away.
Yeah. That's life right there. That's a good adage for life, right?
Right. So it being taken away from me was like I couldn't think of a worse punishment. It wasn't the fact that I had to make a few classes up. Like that was that's fine. But this was like rough. This was hard.
That had to sting sitting on the sidelines watching your teammates practice and play and compete and things like that.
Yeah, it's not like you're missing it's not like you're missing a game. Like you're missing the rest of the season. So this proverbial sting happens daily.
Yeah.
Right. It's a perpetual thing, right, that you absolutely never get used to.
Yeah.
Right. So you're just constantly like making steps and taking steps to do that. Then all summer I had to go home and do summer school to get back on track before I returned back to school.
And so you completed school, played basketball all the way through your senior year.
Yes.
And then, did you have an idea what you do? I mean, was it in your mind that you were going to be able to continue playing basketball, or were you kind of contingently thinking like, I got to get my shit together and start figuring out what I'm going to do next?
So all of this is very interesting. So here's how the story goes. I played my junior year. It was fun. I had a great time. Me and my head coach developed an amazing relationship. I started thinking at that point about playing professionally in different overseas venues and different things. Just how do I get my name out there to be able to keep playing? And so me and my coach had a plan for me, like how I was going to do that coming into my senior year. And my coach gets fired during the summer. Him and the AD didn't get along, I believe. So he got fired during the summer. What's called the NBA G League right now, when in 2000 was called the CBA, the Continental Basketball Association.
Yeah.
It was with the minor league to the NBA. Well, the CBA had a team in Fargo called the Fargo-Moorhead Bees. And my coach, after being fired, became the head coach there.
Oh.
Right. And so what happened was I come back for my senior year. I got to do an internship. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to go do an internship with him because I'm going to school for fitness and sports science.
Cool.
So it's cool to go there. So I attend practices when I'm not at practice. And I just sit at the table, help him out, whatever he needs. I'm kind of a gopher for him, mostly. Just taking in some of the professional players that are there, like Gophers were up there. Townsend Orr is one that really brings home that used to play for the Gophers back in the day. He was there. Yeah. And so I see a lot of those players daily as I'm going in and out of there and going to classes. And so there's a day at practice. It's probably our fourth practice of the season. And me and the new coach had some conversation previously. New coach, trying to get to know him. I was the best player on my team returning. And we had some conversation because I was really trying to figure out what was best for me as a basketball player and what would actually help me progress to be ready to play at the next level after college. Mm-hmm. We had a disconnect where, I wanted what was best for me. And correctly enough, he wanted what was best for the team. And being, 20 years old, 21 years old, almost 21 years old, I was just like, I don't want to compromise. So I quit. So I quit my senior year and just did my internship, which is like, I'm just going to work out, go to school. Like, because part of like what he was asking me to do was kind of a repeat of what I did my junior year. And obviously to get to the next level, they want to see progressions. And it was just like, it doesn't benefit me to do what I did last year. It's the same. I already have game tape about that. I need new tape. I need to see the next level of what I can do. And so that was my thought process. Wrong may it be, right or wrong, regardless, that was a decision I had made and I absolutely had to live with it. So I'm at internships and I'm going there. I'm spending more time there to kind of get it over with. And I'm there one day and someone like goes down. So my coach is like, hey, can you like jump into this drill so we got enough even kid guys? So it goes from jumping into a drill and I'm doing that. And I'm like, oh, I can actually like play with these guys. This is cool.
Yeah.
Right. And like, I'm content, not like overwhelmed at the moment by what's happening. So that transition turns into someone that's hurt for real. And it's like, no one is really available. So do you want to play? Can you play? So my senior year, I actually played in the CBA.
That's crazy.
It was. I didn't play much, but I was on the team. I'm traveling, trying to get back for class. I'm missing classes because it's not on the college schedule, right?
Yeah.
So gone for a week, doing whatever, getting back. School's not going as well as it could be. I get through it, right? And then, there's some classes I got to make up. So then I'm done. Season's over. School year ends. I go home. I come home and having been around all those guys all the winter, right? I find an agent. My agent's like, all right, well, can you go work out here? So I play in Howard Police Pro-Am League. I have an amazing summer. And then school's about to start. But then someone calls me for work to go play. And so during that process, I don't end up going back to school. I go play basketball. And then I do that for about 6 years. I still have not gone complete my bachelor's to this day.
I don't have mine either. So I remember talking about that when I first met you. We got that in common.
Yeah. So there's that aspect of things, right? Yeah. So there's some, there's a lot to unpack with it, right? But it's just like decisions that you make, choices, following your dreams, understanding the consequences of said decisions, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. These are the consequences, or I hate to call them consequences because it sounds like something bad, but just like these are the results of those choices. And so, that was it for 6 years. I got an opportunity to go fulfill my dreams and play basketball at the high level that my ability will take me.
I want to ask you a couple questions about that 6 years. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come right back here with Tim Williams. We're going to listen to a few of our community supporters. Just a couple questions I got floating around in my head, but I think it's time for a quick break. So let's take a quick break here, listen to a few of our community supporters. We'll be right back with Tim. As a boutique Twin Cities-based investment banking firm, Madeira Partners works closely with family, founder, and management-owned businesses, bringing over 25 years of experience and hundreds of successful transactions to the table. It's in their DNA to educate owners on what potential exit opportunities look like, along with any industry or company-specific things to think about to make your business more attractive to potential buyers. Regardless if you want to sell tomorrow or in 10 years, the team at Madeira Partners would love to provide their expertise and guidance along the way. Take some time to explore their website at madeirapartners.com. Madeira Partners, your life's work deserves our best work.
Are you a local business owner looking to take your enterprise to the next level? Look no further than Security Bank and Trust Company, your partner in growth. Our dedicated team of smart, experienced bankers understand the unique challenges and opportunities facing businesses like yours. With personalized financial solutions and expert advice, we're here to help you succeed every step of the way. From tailored business loans to cutting-edge digital banking services, Security Bank and Trust is committed to your success. Experience the difference a local bank can make. Visit us today at any of our convenient locations or online at security-banks.com. Security Bank and Trust, growing together. Verseek Search and Consulting is thrilled to support Coalition9 for another exciting year. Verseek is a Minnesota-based, high-performance recruiting firm that specializes in interim solutions, direct hire, and executive leadership search. Our team of experienced professionals and seasoned leaders across various areas of expertise and industries have been in your shoes. We quickly assess your whole company and identify key elements that will take your business to the next level.
Your company's success hinges on the capacity of your people, and a few areas of your business are more critical than your finance and accounting team. You need talent who can move the needle while winning the trust of leaders and stakeholders within your organization. Your people make it possible. Verseek can help connect you with the talented candidates within finance and accounting for consulting or direct hire needs, as well as within the industry areas in executive search, direct hire, and interim solutions. People are the ultimate business advantage. Find your people together with Verseek and make the best possible for your business. Learn more by visiting Verseek.com and by following Verseek on LinkedIn. Kaisa Wealth Management treats each client like a member of the family. Acting as your personal CFO, we are fiercely devoted to your financial prosperity. At Kaisa, our wealth strategies are aligned with your core values, creating a wealth plan centered around legacies you wish to create. This is our Kaisa commitment. Our wealth strategies are dynamic and tailor-made for your long-term goals because as a fee-only investment firm, excellence in service is not just a promise, it's our baseline. Whether it's selling a business, planning succession, creating a legacy, navigating life challenges like death or divorce, supporting executives on the move, planning retirement, or preserving family wealth, we are here for you. Find out how we can help to simplify your wealth at kaisawealth.com. Mason Jar Marketing helps businesses bridge the gap between marketing and sales so they can crush goals. They're a collaborative partner, one who translates strategic priorities into actionable, goal-aligned tactics. You can count on them to deliver creative expertise and flawless execution for all marketing channels, no hand-holding required. If you're ready for a partner who listens well, thinks big, acts fast, and drives results, schedule a complimentary marketing needs assessment at masonjarmarketing.com. The topic of talent is hot in organizations of any size, and I would argue none more than small to mid-sized businesses. That's why it's crucial to have a partner to help you navigate all the HR idiosyncrasies so you can focus on working on your business and not in it. Insperity is a full-service HR partner with a high-touch, high-tech platform helping owners work through challenges like employee retention, company culture, and benefits, just to name a few. Do yourself a favor and explore all they have to offer at Insperity.com. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. All right, we're back here with Tim Williams. So 6 years. So one, you were getting paid, right? Right. So you had a contract, and I'm assuming so you had an agent. They were negotiating all that stuff and things like that. Was that did it pay well at the time, or was it I just love basketball and I just need enough to make ends meet?
It paid enough for me being 21, 2 years old with no responsibilities, right? I had to learn the business. Right, I had to learn the business. My first agent was the best agent for me. I had to get rid of him. Yeah. Probably I signed with him and got rid of him and got a new agent all in the same summer.
Oh, you did?
And it was tough because, my first agent was really, really cool, but he was just like, he did it part-time. He was a full-time lawyer, part-time agent. And so I called because, being new to this, I got a lot of questions. I'm trying to call him every day, trying to figure out what the word is or what's doing, what's happening. And then I quickly realized that it was problematic for me to continue to have an agent whose part-time job was in charge of my full-time dream.
Love that. I love that, the way you just said that. That just rolled off your tongue. So good.
And so I knew I needed someone who was all in, like me.
Yeah.
And so that got me where I needed to go with that, and just making sure that, and so I got a good team around me, and my job every single day was going to work and working out like 6-7 hours a day.
And you saw, right, like you didn't get your bachelor's and neither did I, but I also feel like there's life is a big education, right? And so as long as you're going to lean into certain things, you alluded to it yourself, which I think you premeditated the question I was going to ask is like, so you learned life lessons in that 6 years. And I got to believe there was a huge emphasis on the business side, which is probably informing a lot of the things that even how you approach business now. And how you're building up your career, what you thought was your career at the time, but now it informs all the work that you're doing now. There had to be those business lessons in there that it was like, those are invaluable lessons that you can never learn in school.
No, yeah. I mean, living this is different, right? Like being out there, being a product, understanding what this is, and also just understanding like when it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Right. When to move off of something. Right. Like in 6 years, like, I'm still young. I'm 27 years old at that time, 26 years old at that time. And I'm just like, I got tired of living on my suitcase. I didn't have a residence. Right. I'm living in hotels. I'm moving around. I'm saying at some point, like, the chase is hard, the chase is long, the chase is hard. And then there's, a huge realization of like, all right, there's real levels to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like there's levels to this. And part of my career was derailed, right? Life happens.
Yeah.
Right. And for me was, I really wanted an opportunity to go play overseas. I was set to go and play in the Netherlands. So I was going to be headed out there to go and play, and it's going to be fun. And I was excited. I remember sitting at home. I came home and I was sitting on the couch, hanging out. I was probably 3 weeks away from leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And then sitting there with this excitement, and then I'm watching TV and I see the news comes on because some planes ran and flew into the World Trade Center.
That time, yeah. And everyone remembers where they were.
And at that moment,
that'd be an inflection. Yeah, for sure.
And at that moment, it's like, well, shit, do I want to leave the country?
Yeah.
No,
right.
I don't.
Yeah.
And so then now there comes this huge pivot. Right now, I'm not good because I don't know I have no idea what happened. None of us knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so whatever's going to happen next, I want to be home when it does.
Yeah. Domestic side, right?
And so I opted out of doing and going anywhere, and then just settled in here domestically and kept playing here.
Yeah.
So that was it.
So I want to make sure to be respectful of your time, and we try and keep this thing to an hour. And dude, I could go for hours with you, just like we did. We had breakfast together, and I think we scheduled an hour and we did a 2-hour breakfast. So I'm trying to take all of that I learned and squeeze it into this hour. 2 words, Harlem Globetrotters. I remember that. And I remember thinking about, like, you had an experience with the Harlem Globetrotters. And I don't think, like all of us as kids remember the Harlem Globetrotters, but I don't think we really knew like how big a machine the Harlem Globetrotters franchise or enterprise is. You were one of the members of the Harlem Globetrotters, but you were one of many.
Yeah, there was a thing I did. My particular role was I played with like some Harlem Legends. Harlem Globetrotter Legends. And so I got a chance to play with some of the older guys, do some dates and go do some of those other things where show basketball became a different kind of vessel, where I played with them, the Harlem Legends, and I did some things called the Harlem Ambassadors, which is another franchise similar to the Harlem Globetrotters, right? So I did both sides of that. And partially it was like when the well was drying up, it's like, how do we stay active?
Yeah.
Right? Is it something I wanted to do? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I absolutely did not want to do it. And it was just like, I didn't want to do it. But again, this is my job at this point in time.
Yeah, right.
I make money, right? And if I got to go make money and go do a show and dunk and do those type of things, that's non-competitive. And that's my spirit of this game. I have fun in the competition aspect of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is an absolute machine. Like it's a machine. It's been a machine for decades.
Yeah.
And it's the machine that's still currently running, even at a higher clip. I would say it's running at a higher clip right now. But yeah, there's multiple teams doing multiple tours, trying to cover the face of the earth as much as they can, spreading the love and joy of basketball, which is good for kids. I think kids and adults. I think we all kind of take it in and have some enjoyment around it.
I want to talk about your pivot out of basketball, your transition out of basketball and pivoting into your next chapter. Do you miss playing? Do you play? Do you pick up the ball every once in a while and go play and stuff like that? Or do you miss playing competitively? Like, being a upper 40s guy, I think, your brain continues to think that you can perform at a level that is competitive, but I think the body has a hard time keeping up. I know I feel that in myself as I continue to progress, just from an athletic standpoint. How are you feeling about all that?
My son plays, who's 10, so I'm in the gym often with him.
Cool.
I still try to play when I can. I still get out and still play. I still enjoy the competition of it. Basketball, I think, will always be a part of just like who I am and what I like to do. It's like my form of exercise, my only form of exercise I really respect for myself, right? Yeah. So when I say respect it, it's the thing that was going to keep me disciplined, right? Where I struggle to stay disciplined in other areas, whether it's, hey, I'm going to go run on a treadmill. I'm actually not. I would rather go run pickup games and go play. Yeah. The transition out was, was fun, man. It was when I realized I was done, I knew I wanted to stay attached to the game. So I refer to all of these things called a dream pivot. So my dream pivot stayed in the game. I just became a coach.
Yeah.
And for 12 years, I was a high school, college basketball coach and had a ton of fun with it, just coaching, right? Like spreading the love of the game, teaching the game the way I felt like, it should be taught, and different strategies and philosophies around really just making sure kids had a great experience and continue to try to help them understand how to use this as a tool. Because I coached in the city, it was just like a lot of kids had the opportunity to be like me and be a first-generation college student if you use the tool the right way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And did that, so, with all your coaching at both, so obviously going from being a player and then playing in at a professional level and then then coaching at both a high school level and college level. So you're going through all of these years of basketball. When did you realize that you can take all of that and then turn it into a business? Like when did the entrepreneur in you, when did that little bubbling start happening inside of you that you're like, I can turn this into something?
So dream pivot number 2 was from coaching to business, right? So I got here, my kids were in Anoka Hennepin. I was like, my son wanted to play basketball. I was like, maybe if I could just teach little basketball classes. Mm-hmm. So I ventured off to Anoka Hennepin. A woman gave me a shot to their community ed department. It allowed me to come in and teach classes. And it was cool. It was like I taught the class and made a decent amount, a little bit of change to teach an hour-long class 4 times a week, right? So that was cool, right? And so she had she could control 3 or 4 of the schools in Anoka Hennepin's 36 elementary schools, the largest school district in the state. And so I did those things very good, and she enjoyed it. And I used a lot of what I learned being around Globetrotters and Ambassadors, just how to make the game fun. Mm-hmm. And so that was my key, just to keep the game fun and coaching. And so she invited me to, hey, I'd like for you to come into our staff meeting and talk to all of our program directors. And so there's 36 elementary schools in Anoka Hennepin, compiled of about 6 or 7 different programmers, and they divide the schools. So I got a chance, and it was the day before, and she's like, yeah, you just come in and talk about that, and maybe you can get your basketball class in more schools. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. Then I can kind of do this, and it can kind of be kind of a business and go about it in that way. And so the night before, I'm sitting here planning, and I'm like, well, I can teach anything. It's just about making it fun. So I rearrange everything I'm doing, and when I go in there to speak to them, I tell them I coach basketball, volleyball, soccer, flag football, kickball. I can teach all of those. I do all of those, right? Because it's really about making it fun, right? Yeah. And so I shot my shot, went in there, and everyone loved it, and everyone said yes. So instead of having 1 basketball class in 36 schools, I now have 5 classes at all 36 schools. And it's just me. So then I walk out of there yes. 10 minutes later, oh shit.
Now the work begins.
How do I replicate myself? How does this work?
Yeah.
So quickly, the entrepreneurial spirit had to take over in the sense of okay, now we're hustling, trying to figure out how, what, when, where, how to schedule, how to strategize, what do we charge, what's our profit margins. All of those things happen at a very fast rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you realize something about yourself of maybe a strengths and weaknesses? Hey, there's some areas where, for me, I know that I just am not a great detail guy, and I get caught up sometimes in the details, and it sucks the life out of me, even though I think it's a necessity when you're at that early build stage. What'd you learn about yourself during that early stage entrepreneurial process?
The exact same thing. I suck at detail.
Really?
I don't suck. I don't like them, right? I know the thing is kind of, which is so weird. It's one of those things what is it? It's all in my head.
Yeah.
Right? It's in my head, and I know exactly what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to show up, and I know exactly how it's going to flow.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly how to make it great. Getting those things out of my head and out on paper and documented so others can fully understand what it is that's going on in my head, to be able to actually have a team that helps me. Mm-hmm. Right? Letting my team inside my brain was a weakness.
Yeah.
right? We needed to figure out how to get it from here out, which is kind of the irony of the playbook.
I mean, and we're going to get to that. And
And
who
so
was your
like,
first?
those things were very interesting for me in details, right? Like I know I got all these classes, so I had to seek, help people help me structure all of that to ensure that all of those things get done.
So then the school district basically, in essence, hired you, right? Or your business, right? Was that when you named it T.WILL?
T.WILL Sports, yep.
T.WILL Sports,
I
yep.
did T.WILL Sports, yep.
And then, so what was your first, and then you said you had to duplicate yourself and you probably had to bring in some people that are going to help shore up some of your weaknesses, maybe from a detail standpoint. Stuff. What was your first key hire?
I hired two of my former basketball players that played for me.
There we go. Love it.
Two things. They know who I am. They know what I expect, and they know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because they were taught by me.
So let's level set us from a time standpoint. What year was this?
2018.
So 2018, pre-COVID. How did you? And then you're building out I'm guessing over 2018, 2019, you're building out to that. How did you navigate COVID with that offering?
Navigate COVID. It did. It went from whatever amount of schools we had. We were at that point. We were in a couple of different districts. So now, let's say we're at 60 schools. We go from 60 to 0.
Yeah.
No school, no after school.
Yeah.
So for $18, we did nothing.
Literally,
there was nothing. There was no cash flow, no revenue made.
Yeah, and were you just spending that time scheming and okay, what are we going to do when time is right?
Right. Like if I had to tell any entrepreneur anything about that time frame, what I learned, when you can't stay motivated, stay consistent.
Yeah.
And so every day I still got up, went to my home office while I did distance learning with my kids, and I worked and I thought about it. It's when I wrote the playbook. And then during that time, I also figured out how does this not happen to me again?
Yeah.
So then I thought about, I created something different other than the playbook. I also wrote a physical education curriculum called Social Sports Strategy.
Mm.
And with that, I decided, hey, maybe if I just get into the schools, if I'm in the school, then this can't happen to me. So coming out of COVID, I knew that there was a teacher shortage. Most of my friends were in education. Talked about a teacher shortage, a physical education teacher shortage. So I approached private schools, charter schools about hiring my coaches to come in and replace their gym teachers and teach physical education with my curriculum, which is 100% based in team sports.
Yeah.
So it goes from, we go from, after school sports is a big thing for me. It became a second revenue to being in schools where, for sheer numbers, if it's if you're going to pay a teacher $95,000 with all the fringe and benefits and all of those things wrapped up into one, I'll do it for 70. Contract. Because it's a $70,000 contract, and the people who I hire technically work part-time for 5 hours a day.
And frankly, I almost don't even look at it from an economic standpoint, right? I almost look at just from a talent standpoint. Like you said it yourself, trying to get teachers in there and specifically gym teachers to come in and people that are dedicated and care about the craft and care about the kids rather than just collecting a paycheck. You're serving both needs, and I think actually that need is more important than the economic side of things.
It checked so many boxes for me. Number one, right? Financially, it was beneficial. From a equity standpoint, it was great because so many kids in my after school models, in my suburban school settings, it's a pay to play model.
Yeah.
Right. So even in those settings where I tell my programmers in every district, I don't have a scholarship program. My one rule, no kid can be turned away due to financial restraints. Right. So I took every kid if I could. But the thing was, the hurdle I couldn't actually accomplish was the transportation hurdle. That I don't have an answer for. But once I'm in schools, and my charter and some of my private schools are in the inner city, guess what? I get that kindergartner. I get to be his first sports experience, and he gets it every single day for free. And he's already here. There's no transportation hurdle. They're getting all the high quality things happening in their school on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And that for me was the biggest reward of all of T.WILL Sports,
what I've done is the ability to kind of attempt to level the inequities in youth sports by putting it inside the schools.
And then this is about the time that I met you, right? Is like when you're working on, I met you a couple years ago, but yet I think you had the playbook. It wasn't widely known, but you were working on it. It wasn't ready to be launched yet. And then recently you just launched it. So I think what's really fascinating is like, again, continual pivots of like, even in your business, you were looking at the business from a, you're serving the kids, but how can you serve at a greater level? And it almost needed to come through a consulting model, and that playbook is kind of the heartbeat of that, right?
It is actually. I felt like you get to a point where you're not maxed out what you're maxed out your impact in certain areas.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've gotten to a point where I've kind of maxed out my direct impact to the kids that I can directly have and reach. Where how do I broaden that reach is how I coach the kids, coach the people who coach the kids.
Yeah.
And giving them a different philosophy, letting them kind of live and breathe through the things that I find very, very important, right? Big philosophy for us is we prioritize the experience over winning. Why is that? Because I know the kids don't quit sports because they win and lose games. They quit sports because the experience sucks.
Yep.
Right. So let's prioritize that to preserve the longevity of the participation in the games.
Yeah.
And so that's the message broadly being delivered through the playbook. And other vessels, it's weird. It's like I find myself offering it to people who were a competitor of mine a year ago. Right? It's not.
That's the cool part.
It's less about like me competing with you. It's about the greater good of these kids having some sort of understanding, right? And the playbook allows for people who volunteer, who give up their time. That's amazing. Like, but it's also like, if I have a daughter who plays lacrosse, right? And she's, the coach, there. I'm at that meeting, they're asking for coaches. What stops me from saying yes? I don't know nothing about lacrosse. But what does the playbook do? It's a turnkey model. We'll teach you about lacrosse, show you how to do lacrosse, everything you need to know about lacrosse, which improves the volunteer experience.
So talk about that a little bit more. Like, I think we're kind of alluding to it a little bit, where I want to be really explicit in what it is, because I think people are going to find it fascinating and want to learn more about it. Yeah. So be really explicit of like what the playbook is and what it addresses.
The playbook is a youth sports operations system. Essentially, it comes into play where if you're in a situation where if you're a youth sports organization and you want to have uniformity across all of your coaches, this allows you to have that, where everyone in every place is having the exact same experience every single time. Mm-hmm. And it's placed with certain values around making sure the kids are having a good time, right? It's about that prioritizing experience over winning around every turn, right? So being in positions to coach volunteers, coach your coaches. And also there's an aspect of the playbook that really addresses the inequities in youth sports and how you can put yourself in position to kind of, what can you do in your organization to kind of help level that playing field? Because it's a real thing, and it perpetuates all the way through high school. So if we can kind of get a wrap on it right now, it improves like kids' high school experiences.
Do you think that as you were writing this and you were working on it, and even as I'm hearing about it, that this is actually this is bigger than just youth sports? I mean, I think you're going down the youth sports path, but I also think there's probably principles within that. If I were to dig into that, I think it's 133 pages or something like that you said. And so if I were to dig into that 133 pages and I were to highlight the shit out of it, I bet you there's a lot of things that are can be applied to family culture. It can be applied to business culture. It can be applied to a lot of different things. It's just you just happen to go down the path because it is what you're passionate about is youth sports and keeping it centric to that.
It is. It is all of those things, right? They're general principles, right? Like once these things become culture, right? It's what we all want in all of our businesses is a culture, a positive culture, right? And culture change is always hard. And what the playbook does, it assists you through that culture change, climate change of your youth sports organization at the time, right? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, right? Like how do we change it all from a uniformity standpoint? And I think it gives all the tools. Like it's so turnkey. Whether it's, if I said that like, hey, I really want you to teach this, I really want you to teach this lacrosse, right? You're going to open up the book. It's going to tell you what lacrosse is. how lacrosse is played. How do you set up the field? What equipment do you need? Here are the key vocabulary words. Then you turn to the back and it gives you the definition for all of those key vocabulary words. So you know what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. Then it gives you lesson plans that tells you everything from good afternoon, kids, to everyone put their hands in, 1, 2, 3, good job.
Yeah.
And there's no guesswork, which
It's
allows for alignment, right? The only thing the only thing you're forced to bring to the table is your personality and your will to be, to build relationships.
Yeah, pure desire.
That's it.
Yeah.
Bring your energy, bring a positive energy, a positive mindset, and pour into the kids. And most importantly, just meet them all where they are. Right.
2 questions before we take a break and we go to 9 questions, because that'll really paint a picture for people on who you are. First question is, what do you think? So you just launched this, and I know it's been a work in progress over a period of time, and it will continue to probably evolve. But what do you think the next couple of years holds for you?
Hopefully, like a lot of consulting, some coaching around youth sports with other coaches, with other business leaders in the space. And I just want to continue to try to be a beacon and a thought leader in the space as we move forward.
Yeah. Well said. I love it. I got a little goosebumps there. That felt so good. And then tell me a little bit about your family. So, you alluded to, you got a 10-year-old that plays basketball and stuff, but tell me a little bit more about your family and just in general. 3 kids. I got a 29-year-old, former soccer player. I have a dancer who's 13, my daughter. And my son, who's 10, who's a basketball player. Coincidentally, my daughter and son, they all found what they really loved really young and stuck with it. So we didn't have to do a whole lot of experiment with a lot of different things, right? So my daughter's a dancer and she does that hardcore. My son's a basketball player and doesn't want to do anything but touch that basketball. And then my wife is Kelly Williams, who is the CEO of the Brand Lab and a major beacon in the marketing space, right? So I had that extreme luxury of being married to her and having her, and also be a thought contributor to all of the work I've done. I can't imagine being a kid in that household with a couple of CEOs as mom and dad. That'd be a badass environment.
It's fun. It's fun. If they only knew, right? Like,
right. If they only knew. You're just mom and dad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a quick break here. Let's listen to a few more of our community supporters. We're going to come right back here with Tim. We're going to dive into 9 questions. I got 9 tailored specifically for you, my man.
All right.
Tradition Capital Bank is a local bank that has the products and capabilities to service middle market companies, nonprofits, and their owners, employees, and families by offering a high-touch approach paired with customizable solutions. Think of them as your nimble allies serving with generosity, care, and precision. Tradition starts with the assumption that there's always more to learn, try, and discover, aiming to find the best yes for whomever they have the privilege of working beside. From a foundation of trust, Tradition takes disciplined, smart risks to help people grow beyond what they even thought possible. Tradition Capital Bank is the second largest privately owned bank headquartered in the Twin Cities, and with locations in Edina, Wayzata, and North Oaks, Minnesota, alongside their office in Scottsdale, Arizona, Tradition Capital Bank is committed to big bank offerings with a small bank ethos. Let their team be the friend you need in your next financial move. Regardless if you're a startup just figuring things out or a medium-sized organization with a full team, having a legal partner by your side is crucial. Seiler Law is fiercely loyal to their clients and are passionate about removing headaches and roadblocks that can pop up during the growth of your business. Whether you need general outside counsel, are planning a business transaction, or even need someone to guide you through the estate planning process, the team at Seiler Law are the advocates for you. Visit SeilerLaw.com to learn more. Seiler Law, where experience meets pragmatism. When you think of a typical CPA firm, you probably think of tax planning. Well, that just scratches the surface of what Boulay offers their clients. By providing smart, in-depth thinking from experts in accounting, audit, tax, and business consulting, they know what it takes to achieve financial success. Whether it's protecting your business, building your wealth, or securing your future, you can count on Boulay to go beyond addressing just financial matters and providing you with tailor-made, workable solutions. Learn about all they have to offer at BoulayGroup.com. Boulay, helping you get there. United Healthcare is dedicated to helping people live healthier lives and making the health system work better for everyone by simplifying the healthcare experience, meeting consumer health and wellness needs, and sustaining trusted relationships with care providers. UHC is continually focused on building a modern, high-performing health system via improved access, affordability, outcomes, and experiences. With a network of over 1.6 million physicians and healthcare professionals in over 6,000 hospitals, United Healthcare is dedicated to connecting employers and their employees to better health by offering quality benefits designed for affordability. For more information, visit United Healthcare at www.uhc.com. United Healthcare, helping people live healthier lives.
Tell me if this sounds familiar. Your business is having challenges with adding revenue, or you're ready for quicker growth and scale. Your sales team lacks a coach or mentor to help guide and excel their production, and you're not quite sure who the best resource is for sourcing and replacing sales professionals on your team. When you're looking for a company that provides sales solutions that drive growth, look up Sales Homie. Sales Homie is the premier fractional CRO or VP sales agency, additionally offering sales recruiting and placement services, sales leadership coaching, and sales team training programs. Don't put your business at risk with low revenues and uninspired sales professionals. Learn more about Sales Homie by visiting their website at saleshomie.com. Sales Homie, sales solutions that drive growth.
In addition to our amazing prospering and thriving level supporters, we want to shine a spotlight on our equally amazing evolving level supporters: Alliant Insurance Services, Bauer Design Build, Beyond Design Resource Group, Entrabank, Fluid Interiors, and Modern Foundation. All of the Coalition 9 community supporters can be found at coalition9.com/community-supporters.
All right, we're back with Tim Williams. We're going to dive into 9 questions. Tim, can you confirm to me that you have no idea what I'm about to ask you?
I can confirm I know nothing.
All right, good. You don't seem like a guy that gets shaken too much, so I don't really see much. I don't see much nervousness in your face. So you seem like you're a pretty chill dude.
I'm excited. I'm anticipating.
I like it. Good. All right. Question 1. What are 3 words that describe you?
Adventurous, aggressive, thoughtful.
God, it's so good. What is the most memorable concert you've ever attended?
Wu-Tang, October 2023.
Wow, you rattled that one off really quick. 2023, just last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was so great about it?
They were in the Target Center, and all 9 members were there, and it was amazing.
Yeah, sweet. What is the strangest? So you've done some traveling. What is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Octopus.
Yeah, you're the second person that said octopus. And was it raw octopus or was it cooked?
It was grilled. Grilled. And now they sell it at Costco, so I can actually just try it at home too.
Right. Grill it yourself. What is one thing that immediately brightens your day?
My children.
Yeah. You love watching them compete?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I like watching them compete. I like being in the space. Yeah, I like it. It's all enjoyable. I enjoy all of it. The anxiety around it, everything.
Yeah, everything. Oh, yeah. What is one quality in a person that impresses you?
Ambition.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of similarities in you all that are in your C9 group around ambition, right? I think that's the fuel that keeps you coming back, probably. And
it's the reason I love it, right? Like,
yeah, man.
I'm there with literally 8 other very ambitious people.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Okay, if you could compete in one Olympic sport, not basketball, what would it be and why?
Track. Because I think it's amazing that they train for less than 10 seconds of glory.
Right. So which
100 meter.
100 meter. It's a sprint. Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it?
Fastest thing. Yeah.
Raw training. I mean, it's all training really is what it comes down to. And then it's just
training,
under 10 seconds.
It's like zero margin of error for everything.
Yep. From the starting blocks all the way to the finish line. Yeah. That's crazy. When I say the word mentor, who do you think of and why?
I think of Renee Pulley, who was my first AAU basketball coach, who let me come and play and never knew I couldn't afford it, never asked or addressed it, and took care of everything and took care of like everything associated with it. And even as his company, his organization grew, he continued to do that for others. He's always been like a beacon of like, I want to be that person. I want to be like him.
Yeah, I even just hearing those words come out of your mouth is like, I'm seeing a little bit of that in you and stuff. And so it's nice to have a mentor that you can look up to that you can emulate your path.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What is one thing that you enjoy spending money on?
Shoes.
What's your most recent? Give me a good, like, your most recent pair that you can pop off the top of your head.
Nike released a Wu-Tang edition Nike Dunk in collaboration with Wu-Tang. So I got those. It's a pair of Nike Dunks with Wu-Tang sign on them.
Black and yellow.
Yes.
That's awesome. I have to look those up. I'll Google those after we get done with recording this, because that sounds awesome. Yeah. Okay. Ninth question. You made it this far, and I got a curveball here. There's 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore. Who is your Mount Rushmore of NBA players?
NBA players: Michael Jordan,
Yep.
Kobe Bryant,
Yep.
LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem, huh? That's a good, that I can see those first 3, but that fourth one I think could be a wild card for a lot of people. And Kareem, what about Kareem?
He was the all-time leading scorer before LeBron was. He got 6 championships, 6 MVPs. He won at absolute every level of basketball he ever played.
Yeah.
UCLA, the Milwaukee Bucks, Los Angeles Lakers, and he won state championships in high school.
God.
All he's ever done is win.
Good pull, man. I feel like you rattled those off. That was a quick fire 9 questions. You were ready to roll. I'm sure either I needed to make them harder, or you were ready to go.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, like, I saw Heather last week, who's your facilitator of your group, and she always speaks so well of you and obviously your group, but just like this, and you're a huge part of that culture of what you guys have built within that group. And that obviously has a trickle down effect to our greater community. I'm super honored just to have you part of Coalition9. And my biggest thing with doing something like this is that I'm gonna come right out and say this. A lot of people know your wife, right? A lot of people know who Kelly Williams is. She's very well known in the Twin Cities community. More people need to know who Tim Williams is too. So I'm hoping that this is just a great opportunity for people to see the passion that you bring to youth sports, the passion that you have of wanting to have a positive impact on young people just in general. And so, and I'm guaranteeing, like, hearing your story, people are going to want to get to know you a little bit, and in the business community, and maybe hopefully outside for maybe some future consulting opportunities. How can people learn about you?
My website is T.WILL Sports.com, and you can always find me on LinkedIn, Tim Williams, and that's probably the best way. And I'm always open for phone calls, emails. I'm always available. I try to make time to meet new people, connect with people, talk business, sports, all the things.
Yeah. And you're great to have a meal with and spend a little time with. It's, there's a lot more, a lot more nuance to your story and stuff like that. We're just breezing over it in an hour here. So if people want to get to know you, I suggest they reach out. I'm going to put the link to your website in our show notes, and I'm also going to put your LinkedIn profile. I got to say, you've been a lot more active on LinkedIn, and it's been fun to watch.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of Tim, this has been the Power of 9 podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Eggert, and I want to thank you for the privilege of your time.